Bertram United Methodist Church in Cedar Rapids, we're actually on the edge of town, just outside of Cedar Rapids, not far from Mount Vernon, not far from Cedar Rapids, south of Marion. And a unique little town is where we're located. It's actually its own township, and the church in the town is the only institution. And part of being the only institution is that a lot of people in the town claim the church as their church. Although our worship attendance is 25 to 32 on any given Sunday. And so we see a lot of people come to our events. We see people come to our special things at the church, but we don't necessarily reflect that as much in worship. The town of Bertram was an old railroad town, and it was very much kind of the town that's there now was the center of life in that area, separate from Cedar Rapids. And now there's a sprawling division or housing divisions around the area, and so our challenges have been, how do we connect the Bertram proper, or downtown Bertram as they sometimes like to call themselves, with the new residents living sort of just a stone's throw away from the town, almost as if they are the town is the hub, and then all these spokes going out to these different development areas. So the church is the center of town, and yet not completely part of these other development areas that are partially in the town and for sure in the township. What makes them unique is that they know they are the only institution in town. And in being the only institution in town, they take pretty seriously their call to be relevant in the community. And before we even started Healthy Church Initiative, they were already hosting nearly one event a month for the church, and bringing in people from the community in an effort to just build relationship with them. And so what makes them really unique is they know that they need to get to know the people and start to connect the people within the community. We started with the 6-week or the 6-session do some learning, read a book every time. I served the Buffalo United Methodist Church, and they did that process as well. And when we concluded that process, we had conversation about next steps and do we want to head towards consultation. And the Bertram Church decided that they indeed wanted to do the consultation because they had really engaged a lot of that small church material that the Healthy Small Church Initiative provides in who they are and who they can be in the community and in the neighborhood there. And so they decided to do the consultation, and we just kind of went from there, I guess.
How was the process for your congregation?
Really, actually, very good. It was interesting. We didn't necessarily have a consistent team all the way throughout all of the process, but we had key people in and out real regularly, picking up pieces of the process, and I think that's kind of how they operate anyway, is that they step in where there's a need to serve and see that the ministry continues to happen for the church. And so the process was challenging, but very fruitful, actually, for all those involved. One of the things I think that really was helpful for them is that they became very intentional about the ministry that they were doing, and I was using words with them about being intentional and about how we're going to build relationships, not just haphazardly, but real intentionally. And they started using that language, and they started picking up on that and looking at our mission and vision and saying, does this really help us? Both through the process and since we've concluded the process is just real intentionality. They've we talk a lot about building relationships, not so that there's butts in the pews, but building relationships so that people know Jesus Christ and know that the people of the Bertram Church are people of love and grace and open, and I think that they've done that really well. Another thing that they've done really well as a part of the process is they've really started connecting people. Where we started out kind of at a disadvantage with our town proper and the development areas. As a result of the Healthy Church Initiative, we've been able to build some relationships with folks in those developments, and we've been able to start to connect the town people with the folks in the developments. And we've seen some real fruits with that, and it's been a joy to watch that happen with them. Probably one of the biggest things is the community realizes why we're there. They see us as having good motives, I guess. Where there was some animosity before, and where we've basically said we want to plant trees with you because the town needs to plant trees, and we want to partner with the city for our homecoming because we want to do this for the city, and that our motives are about building relationship, not about putting money in the plate at the church, because that was a bit of the perception kind of in decades past, is that the church just asks for money, and we've been real intentional about not asking for money. They want to give it to us anyway when we're at our events. Can I give you a donation? And we don't have a donation box, and so we've been able to build some trust with the community that I think wasn't there before, and that has helped us to actually connect some new folks to the church that were not previously in the church. We kept saying if we had 5 more families connected to the church, some of the things that we would like to do in ministry that cost money, we could overcome some of those. And in looking back at our finances last year, we said, oh, I think we got our 5 families, and boy, look at how the giving is up. And so celebrating some of the connections that we've made, but we didn't make those, we didn't connect it to the fact that there was money in the plate. We connected it with that we've made these relationships, solid relationships of people worshiping regularly and helping in some of the ministry events that we do outside the church. So we, in a time when one of our key leaders has had a serious health issue and did a lot of the stuff, and we didn't drop the ball when she had to step out, and other people stepped in where there previously wasn't a place to step in, and so we kind of celebrate the congregations living into the prescriptions that we were given. So. Probably number one is the process validated that which we were doing well in ministry, and took what we were doing well and said, here's some next steps for you. And I think that for somebody to come in unbeknownst to us and say, wow, there's a lot of potential here, there's a lot of great ministry already going on, so let's see what it would look like if you took the next step. And so I would say that it's not a canned process, that it's tailor-made for the needs of the church and the congregation. The other thing that I found exceedingly helpful is the peer mentoring process that goes along with it. I have been, since before we went to consultation, I have been meeting with other clergy in the area that have also gone through or were scheduled to go through the consultation process. And to be able to use that peer time and do some more learning. We read more books, and we did some more education on vision casting and dealing with conflict and changes and all of that. And that was really super helpful for me as a pastor, because one of the things that Healthy Church gives you is the secret consultation kind of notes from from the consultants that say, here's some things as a pastor that we want you to be aware of and working on, aside from the prescriptions that are for the congregation. And the peer mentoring process allows you to kind of work through some of those growing points, I guess they are for me, as help me as a clergy person go through. It truly is a story of the Holy Spirit working in and through it. Prior to the consultation, we were already looking at knowing we needed to update our building. It had been remodeled in the 60s, and there were dividers in the back of the church that allowed for them to section off a Sunday school room, and then basically made the sanctuary space about 2/3 of the size. And we had a desire to bring it back to it was built in 1866, to bring it back to its sort of 1866 look, while updating all the amenities so that things worked better. And Matthew 25 Ministry Hub was going to be receiving 150 volunteers from Illinois, and they weren't sure where they were all going to go. And so I, having been connected with Matthew 25, went to Jerry Oakland and said, we'd love a volunteer team. And the volunteer team came and tore out the dividers and painted the entire interior of the church. And that was a facelift that made a huge difference in the life of the church, in just the way it felt, and opened up the space. And then one of our prescriptions was to remodel, to continue the remodel or address space issues. And we decided that staying there was what we were called to do at this point, and we would make some remodels that would allow us to have more seating. And so we increased our seating from about 45 to 70, just with taking out dividers and putting in flexible seating and some of that. And remodeled the ceiling and the lighting, and all of that gave it this really fresh look. And it's beautiful. But I think the thing that captures most what that process did is on Sunday morning, the way the sun comes in to the church. The back door has 2 cross windows, and the way the light comes through those cross windows is they illuminate up the side of the wall that used to have the divider on it. And then there's a couple of other crosses, and sometimes we'll have 2 crosses, we'll have 5 or 6 or 7, and we're not sure where they come from because there's only 3 total crosses in the back of the church, and they kind of work their way across. And occasionally somebody in the congregation will stop me, or I will stop what I'm doing and just name the fact that, look at those crosses today. Wow, look how many there are today. And we decided not to put anything on that wall because it's the palette for our crosses. That is our kind of our decorating motif there, is that whatever the crosses do on Sunday morning. It's been hard to capture them in pictures, but it is quite beautiful. And what people continue to name is how the remodel of the sanctuary has deepened their worship experience and allowed them to worship more fully. And when new folks come in, they're in awe of the beauty of this tiny little sanctuary. So that's been a great process, and it all happened because people took a chance